Local Memphis Live continues with your host, Amy Spiropoulos.
Over the past few years, at-home DNA tests have surged in popularity as people long to find out more about their ethnic makeup, history, and heritage, even sometimes learning about diseases and other traits that run in their family and bloodline. But this morning, we've got a warning for you from someone who experienced something not so normal with one of those at-home testing kits. It's something we can all learn from. Joining me this morning, pharmacist Julie Kernerly-Shaw, sharing, I hope I said that right, Julie, sharing her life-altering experiences that she's had with at-home tests, and Heather Hample, genetic counselor. And forgive me if I mispronounced, Julie, your last name.
No problem.
Welcome, ladies. And
so I can tell you a little bit about my story.
Yes, go ahead, please.
Yeah, so my husband and I did direct-to-consumer testing, and this past January, I actually got a positive result for 2 different genetic syndromes. The first being Lynch syndrome, which puts you at a much higher risk for developing multiple types of cancer, and the second being a genetic abnormality that increases your risk for heart disease. Ironically, I'm a pharmacist, my husband is a physician, and we were in Africa on a medical mission trip when I received these results, which were quite frightening at the time. I knew I didn't have a significant family history for either disease, so it was a little bit confusing to have this genetic abnormality for each of these disorders. So I feel very thankful that I work at the James Cancer Hospital and immediately reached out to Heather, who is a genetics counselor there, who was able to advise me and guide me through the process of getting some confirmatory testing.
Heather?
Yeah, so Julie sent me an email, and I could tell she was very worried. I mean, anyone would be finding these results that said they had a very high risk for cancer and heart disease. And the first thing I did was ask her about her family history, because you really have to take these results in context. If they don't make sense in the family history, and Julie had really no family history of cancer or heart disease, I was able right away to be reassuring that maybe these aren't accurate. We're going to need to confirm this in a more medical grade sequencing kind of setting. So we got Julie scheduled to come in as soon as possible when she got back in the States, and repeated the testing in a clinical laboratory that could confirm once and for all whether she had them. We have a happy ending to this story, actually. Julie didn't end up having either of the syndromes. But what a scare, and how many people might be out there doing risk-reducing surgeries or getting colonoscopies annually based on a result that's actually inaccurate.
So tell us a little bit more about, ladies, the accuracy or lack thereof, if we need to speak about that, of these tests. What we need to look for, and what about false positives?
Yeah, that's a great question. We have some data now that when they tell you you have a mutation in a gene that causes a high risk for a health condition, that about 40% of the time it's just wrong. And that's pretty frequent. So really you need to take any positive result with a grain of salt. Think about whether it fits your family history. Go see a healthcare provider who can help you figure out if that's accurate or not. And I think you raise an important point. Even the negative results can be false. One of the direct-to-consumer companies recently got FDA approval to look at 3 mutations in the genes that cause hereditary breast ovarian cancer syndrome. But the problem is there's thousands of mutations in those genes. So if you find out you don't have a mutation in those 3 spots, you still could have one of the many others that weren't even checked. So if you have a strong family history, it's really not the right test for you either. It's not looking deeply at all of the genes involved.
Julie, do you have anything to add to that?
I think my advice for the general public would be that if you do a direct-to-consumer test, certainly be aware that there's the potential for a false positive, which also comes with additional out-of-pocket cost for confirmatory testing. And certainly don't take any drastic healthcare measures based solely on a direct-to-consumer test. Reach out to a healthcare provider, see a genetics counselor, and let them get you the medical-grade testing.
Wonderful. Ladies, thank you so much for joining us. You can get all of the information on the risks of at-home DNA tests at the website on your screen, knowyourrealrisk.com. Coming up, we are live inside DeSoto Family Theater for a preview of Godspell. Look, everyone is ready. You can get ready with a sneak peek behind the scenes after the break right here on Local Memphis Live.